Bitcoin price consolidation may be nearing the end, indicators suggest. Omkar Godboll, writing in Coinbase, says that Bitcoin may soon move out of its 7-week trading range of 30,000 to 40,000, with a major indicator, the Bollinger Bands, tracking that the price volatility may suggest a big move is overdue. Carter, is the price of Bitcoin going up?
I think in the next 6 months, it absolutely will. I think there's a couple other existential things that aren't being tracked by a lot of these, I would call them market indicator indices that people are looking at to see from volume and use and all that. I think some of the tech stack that's coming into place right now, especially from Fidelity on their side with trying to hit that open enrollment standpoint in November. So, in the US, especially, companies kick out open enrollment, which is when you go and you declare your 401k settings and your insurance settings. If they can actually get their investment portfolio and portals set up to add in that crypto segment, and if that's through current EFTs, or that they're going to be, because they have a custodial service side too, to where they'll be a custodial on behalf of folks, then you'll have that transfer of wealth that's in current 401ks moved over to Fidelity Investments. They have everything to gain from that. I think there's enough structure in place for them to continue to do that and at least offer current offerings out there. Nothing's stopping that right now, so I can't imagine them not pursuing that, and that's in this November. So I think there's still a lot of innovation and movement on that will put some serious buying pressure on Bitcoin, and all these other things that we're tracking is kind of just noise.
Dan Eve, are you a bull and bullish?
I think I'm bullish. Screw it. Yeah, I think the price has got to go up. I'm counting on it anyway. This bull run's not over yet.
You got to lean over to the right there. You have to cover up the bear and highlight the bull in the background. Ben Ark, the price of Bitcoin, up or down?
Yeah, the TA is just nonsense at this point, and that chart is an embarrassment. It looks like it's made on Microsoft Paint. So it's funny how all these different technical analysis tools, they all claim that they're still in their channel. We're still in a hyperwave, and we're still in a stock to flow, and blah blah blah. Like, we're always within their channel, and they're not all accurate. And now we're certainly not all those day trader types who follow these technical analysis tools and can kind of shift the price, within their ranges. That they've dropped out, man. Like they're dropping like flies, and now we're getting down to the hodler bedrock and fundamentals. And the fundamentals are that Bitcoin infrastructure is stronger than ever. We've had a massive upgrade. Bitcoin Core 0.21 now has Taproot integrated into it, and I've heard it runs really nicely. And we've got all these new things, just within the near future, which is going to make Bitcoin much more powerful piece of software, as well as it's all this great software which is being developed by all these free and open source developers. And crazy events like a whole country now, as controversial as it may be, but it's now illegal tender in El Salvador, and there's going to be a hell of a lot of innovation and Bitcoin being used in the wild, which is then going to create a lot of innovation and products which are being built on it. And like you have got Fidelity, you've got Microsoft, you've got all these incredibly large players jumping into Bitcoin as well. So yeah, the fundamentals are outstanding, but those traders are dropping, and it's supply and demand. So I do think that we are going to hit down to 20, 15k, but then we'll bounce up like crazy, and we'll be heading towards that 240k. The 240k which we talked about in the past. So yeah, we are going to drop in the near term, so the next couple of months. It's going to be a bit of a rough road. The Bitcoin price doesn't look very strong. We just seem to be bouncing along, drop. So there's not much momentum there, but in the longer term, in the sort of 6 months and beyond, then we're definitely going to shoot up, and the bulls are going to come back just off the back of all that crazy fundamental momentum.
I do agree, Ben. It's a very different market now than what it used to be. trying to use the old tools to predict a market that includes Michael Saylor and Elon Musk. Elon Musk was bragging about hodling not too long ago. If you have millions of dollars, it's not difficult not to sell your investment. It's the rest of us that have rent, bills that are chiseling away at our investment, becoming a smaller and smaller part of this. The large players are taking up all the space.
It's also all these
There is
people,
actually
all these people who have like huge like historical wealth which they built up, and they want to secure it in some way into a hard asset. And now they've all been learning about Bitcoin over this pandemic. And over some of the, the inflation FUD which has been out there. So that whether that's true or not, they're going to start diversifying their portfolios into Bitcoin, and that's going to push the price up too. But it'll take a few months to come into fruition, I think.
Speaking of Saylor, there is actually a YouTube video on now, I think that from MicroStrategies, and it's literally titled "Why Bitcoin is going to Make You Rich" with Michael Saylor.
Baby pump, baby.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick on two. So part of the whole premise of having, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want the large, Fidelities of the world or whatever in. And I made this point on one of my previous, I wouldn't even call it a podcast. It was just an open live stream. But the importance of having access for people that are not the day-to-day crypto folks like us. We get kind of tunnel vision right now because we're in the space. But I mean, I have a pretty large, my microphone's falling apart here. So I was kind of working on that too, as I'm trying to make this point. There's a lot of folks out there that want to be part of this space that don't understand enough fundamentals, nor are going to take the time to understand the, not your keys, not your coins. So they're going to rely on, some of these institutions to help them take part of that investment. And if that's using a strategy of a 3 to 5 year type of thing, where they're taking 2 to 5% of their portfolio and just bringing it in there, the tools and mechanisms that enable that are getting set up and in place, right? So I don't think it's not about a question of if, it's a matter of when those things are ready. Moves like from the OCC given guidance for banks to become charters. And while it was paused with the new administration change, that's still a lot of momentum that's moving towards some discovery. It's not shutting it down. It's just saying, hey, we want to make sure FINRA and all these other entities are aligned. So again, positive momentum from a legislative side and from just a governance side that enables, the common mom and pops that are not going to, have hardware wallets and stuff, but want to take a, 3 to 5% portfolio adjustment into it. And when you start looking at the math on that, this is where you get the JP if it's JP Morgan or if it's some of these other analysts that are working for them, they're looking at, assets, allocations, private equity, funds, and they're saying, if even a percentage of these folks had an enabling tool to take a position in crypto, right, wrong, or indifferent, they just want a diversification on their portfolio, and the tools are there and they have the timing, which is usually during like an open enrollment when you're messing with your insurance and your 401k settings, that even a 3 to 5% allocation or even a 1% allocation, when you look at all the money that's sitting in those, that's like not, money that you're getting that day. That's money that's in your account and you're just transferring that wealth. What's the winners and losers on that transfer? They coming out of the 2040 fund that has a market basket and they're coming into crypto, and seeing that, the Kevin O'Leary and some of the larger CNBC personalities saying, hey, I'm taking a risk of 3%, and a 3% allocation is a good risk for us. And the upside potential is high because it's a pure supply demand game on some of these things. They're taking risk in that. And as that narrative starts to inflow to folks that have now the tool to walk in and just do I don't know anything about crypto, but I can sure hit this 3% and next finish, right? And then it moves that allocation there. When that enablement comes in place, that's going to be the proverbial, I think Novogratz said it a long time ago, the herd is coming. I think that's when you actually see the reciprocation of that. And those things are being built. And it's like, I look at all these fundamentals and these charts and stuff, and I'm like, guys, like the tools are being built to do this. And then when that happens, you're going to see a pretty large, effort and signal to noise on that, like, hey, you can do this, you should have 3 to 5%, from a risk standpoint. And that just, you start looking at the money on that and the supply, it's numbers only go up on that standpoint.